Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the premiere episode of The Shoot Club, and thank you so much for deciding to make us a part of your day. I'm your host Alex, coming to you from London, England, and this is the show where we put the spotlight on the WWE and the industry of professional wrestling. On today's show, we'll be discussing the Monday 13th of June 2016 edition of Monday Night Raw, and of course, it's a tough show to talk about, but we're going to dissect it into the positives, the negatives, what we liked, what we think could have been done better, and we'll round off the show with predictions for the upcoming WrestleMania style pay-per-view Money in the Bank this Sunday. Well, Monday Night Raw. Where to begin with Monday Night Raw? I would say, from an honest perspective, it wasn't necessarily a good show or a bad show. We have had worse shows in the past, especially the ones leading up to the Royal Rumble at the end of 2015. Those were dreadful, but this new era is kicking in. We're seeing some progress with the return of Shane O'Mac. He has sort of rejuvenated the atmosphere, but this show wasn't particularly bad, I would say. It's a couple good spots. The highlight, of course, being the Shield reunion on the Ambrose Asylum. And I have to commend the performance given from each of those superstars. I mean, all three of them. And yes, I do mean Roman. I mean, the mic work from all three of them was amazing during this segment. Well, let's start from the beginning, alright? The segment begins with Dean standing in the middle of the ring, and just seeing him there in the middle of those two, you just know he has to win this Money in the Bank ladder match. It's just, the segment foreshadows exactly what's going to happen on Sunday. I mean, I don't want to jump to predictions right now, but Dean will win. I can see Dean coming out on top. Things don't just happen for any other reason, okay? Foreshadowing plays a big part in the storytelling in WWE, and it's something that creative does keep an eye on, all right? So Dean's standing there, and you just get the feeling that he's going to come out victorious. This triple threat has been people have been asking for it since the Shield even broke up, and obviously due to Seth's injury, I have no doubt that if Seth wasn't injured during WrestleMania 32, that triple threat wouldn't have happened. I mean, it's gonna happen. Personally, I would prefer it to happen during SummerSlam, WrestleMania type pay-per-view, not so early, you know. If Dean does win on Sunday, I wouldn't want him to cash in. I don't want to see a triple threat just now. It's too early for this. You need to build it up. But anyway, let's talk about the segment. Roman comes out to a chorus of boos, which is not surprising. Seriously, the only cheering came from women. If you rewatch the segment, the only cheering came from women. And another thing that, you know, the fan base have been saying for months now, Roman is a heel. He is a stone cold heel. The way he walks out through those curtains with this slick attitude, you know, the slow methodical walk, all right, looks around seriously at the fans, doesn't even crack a smile, all right. The way he carries his championship belt, whips it onto his shoulder almost arrogantly, you know. The music is hard hitting. The crowd hate him, and he relishes it. He embraces that, and he thrives off of that sort of. And that reaction from the crowd is completely genuine. Okay, that's not something that's easy to gain as a superstar. You know, some people even struggle to get one reaction. This guy gets a genuine reaction. And it just it's sort of mind-boggling how it pales in comparison to Seth's entrance. Sorry, you know, Seth comes in to a chorus of cheers. You know, people love him. No one boos Seth, but you know, for kayfabe reasons, he is the heel and Roman is the face, and it's mind-boggling. You have to ask yourself, why haven't they switched places already? You know, I'm still of the mindset that Seth's return should have been a heroic one. Everyone was looking forward to Seth coming back. And, you know, this whole rebuild, reclaim, redesign Seth Rollins, you know, sort of idea that he was putting to the fan base's minds was that he was going to rebuild the character of Seth Rollins. But he hasn't. Or, you know, creative hasn't let him. And it's just astonishing how perfect it is. You know, it fits, it's cohesive, the plan works. The plan to make Seth Rollins a babyface and Roman Reigns a heel. It's natural. It's what the people want. And it's what will drive this company forward, in my perspective. But then again, it's the WWE again missing another opportunity, you know? Anyway, the reunion starts out well. Seth brings up a couple nostalgic moments, but you know something is about to go down. Okay? Seth is being all, you know, lovey-dovey with his former companions. You know, he's bringing out all these memorable moments with Bautista, and the crowd ate that up. But you just know something's going to happen, you know? It's a sort of Game of Thrones Red Wedding moment. Something isn't right, and the bomb is about to drop. And that's when Seth goes, you know what the best moment I had in this ring was with you guys? When I took a chair, and he looks at Roman, and he goes, when I took a chair, and I put it in your back. And that's when shit drops. And that's when he brings up WrestleMania 31, which no one has forgotten about, and it's refreshing for them to bring that up again. You know, that this forming the main motivation behind this battle at Money in the Bank. You know, I'm glad that for continuity purposes, I'm glad that they've retouched on WrestleMania 31, because it was the best WrestleMania we've seen in a very long time. And this is when it gets interesting. This is when this segment gets interesting for me. I mean, they start to have that conversation. You know, the conversation we've all been waiting for since WrestleMania 31. No, not even since that. Since the Shield broke up. We've been waiting for them to have this conversation ever since Seth betrayed them. And that's when Roman displays his natural persona, what we've been wanting him to portray. And that's when Roman finally has that conversation with Seth, and he says, you didn't just break up a group, you broke up our group. You know, you broke up a brotherhood. And that is what we've been waiting for Roman to say to Seth for a very long time. And honestly, we see Roman's best mic work ever. I would say ever. This segment was the best, 2 or 3 minutes Roman has ever spoken on the mic. It was that good because it was genuine. It wasn't scripted garbage that creative just wrote down on his wrist. You know, he's legitimate in everything he says about Rollins, and it comes from the heart. You know, 2 years of emotions just bottled up, and that's what wrestling's all about. You know, telling stories. And with Roman's recent feuds, you know, with AJ, with Triple H, with Sheamus, no one gives a shit about them because there is no history. There's no backstory. Even if there was, they haven't built anything up. You know, he looks at Rollins with a sort of menacing look, and he says, they won't call me the guy because I'm the champion. They'll call me the guy because I beat you. And it was honestly a brilliant promo. It was exactly what I was looking for in a Shield reunion, not like that garbage we saw last year when they were just thrust into a tag team against the Wyatts without any build-up, without any advertisement, or it was just another missed opportunity. But this was brilliant. Ambrose was excellent as the third man. You know, getting in between the two, trying to start a fight, trying to start shit between the two, and it just worked. Everything about this segment worked. And then, you know, he brings up the possibility of him winning the Money in the Bank, and which I think will happen, as I said, and it's brilliant. It's great. You know, things ultimately explode into a massive brawl. Ambrose hit Dirty D's on Reigns, and you know that happens after Reigns connects a Superman punch on Rollins, and it was just the end to a great segment. As I said, it was brilliant, but I think a triple threat is still early at this point. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I think a triple threat, I don't want to see any cash-ins on Sunday. I want Reigns and Rollins to go at it one-on-one. It's something that should have happened in WrestleMania 32, because Triple H, we all know Triple H was just Seth Rollins' replacement at the Royal Rumble. That was going to be a long-term rivalry between the two. So that was, for me, the highlight of Monday Night Raw. My main positive was the Ambrose Asylum. Another thing that I liked about Monday Night Raw, Rusev and Titus O'Neil. Now, this is a sticky one. This is a tough situation. You know, Titus has obviously been suspended for X amount of days, 90 days, I think, and he's immediately granted a title shot. So, if you can get a title shot after a 90-day suspension for pissing off the boss, you know, It's just astonishing to me. I wish I could be that lucky. But what I what I loved about this promo is, they're rebuilding Rusev into this dominant animal-like force to be reckoned with. It's pretty much akin to his character prior to WrestleMania 31, when he was United States champion, when he was facing Cena. He was he was a legit beast. He was a force to be reckoned with. He he dominated in promos. He was brilliant on the mic. You know, just this physical specimen. I wouldn't say he was buried by The Rock when The Rock returned on that one segment, but his unbeaten streaks. He demonstrated why the creative has so much belief in him. But then after his pretty much embarrassing stint with the League of Nations and all that other bullshit love drama with Lana and Summer Rae and Dolph Ziggler, I believe, it's sort of tainted the fans' perception on Rusev. He has sort of softened up a bit. No, he's a great athlete, and the question is it too late? Is it too late for the fans to legitimately believe that after his really rough spell and after all that bullshit that creative fed to us, you have to wonder, is it too late to bring this old Rusev back? They have to do a good job now of maintaining this sort of run that Rusev has with the United States Championship. They need to start being consistent with Rusev's storyline. We all know that they've pretty much messed things up with the whole real life love situation with Rusev and Lana, but let's get back on track to what Rusev should be. This dominant athlete who doesn't take shit from anybody. That's the Rusev the fans want to see. So hopefully, their match will prove to be, a dark horse of the night. It certainly has the potential to be, maybe it can steal the show, who knows. But, I like what they're doing with Rusev, and that forms another positive in Monday Night Raw. Now, it can be argued, with some reason that the second best moment of Monday Night Raw was the Cena and Styles contract signing. What a segment this was. For me, because I'm a big Rollins and Reigns and Ambrose fan, I think the Shield rightfully deserved the top highlight of Monday Night Raw. But, this too was an amazing segment. Cena and Styles face off in the ring to sign the contract for Money in the Bank, and it's a sort of different one. It's a sort of different contract signing that we're used to seeing. Cena presents Styles with... Styles is given an ultimatum. Sign the contract to face Cena without the club at ringside, or bring them along with him, and it's John Cena versus the club. And we all know what we want. We want a good old wrestling match between, the King of Indie and the King of WWE. And that was the main sort of emphasis behind this whole storyline, behind this whole promo. It's just... Cena is king on the mic. I'm sorry. Right now, there is no one better than John Cena on that microphone, and you can see why he's on his spot. When the product can get dry, because the product can get dry, and we've seen that happen. Cena was missed during his injury. Let's all agree on that. But when the product can get dry, he's able to revitalize it, and he's able to revitalize it along with our belief in this new era. And there's this whole question of whether he fits into this new era. He damn right fits into this new era. He belongs there. Cena hopefully will retire in WWE. I don't know, 50, 60 years old, I hope. I'm not a personal Cena fan. I've never really enjoyed his work, but I appreciate it and I respect it, and I respect what he's done for this industry. He was not lying when he said he carried this industry on his back for over a decade. He walks into the building and the atmosphere just completely changes. People just wake up. People aren't asleep in the arena anymore. Say what you want, but he's earned his respect. This guy, to put it simply, has the ability to make you give a shit about his match. He can be wrestling anybody, Tyler Breeze, John Cena, Tyler Breeze. He will make you give a shit about that match. Okay, he's that good on the mic. He's that good at telling the story, and that's what he does. And that's why he because of this whole Roman Reigns hate that's been going on, people are starting to compare the two. John Cena is being booed a lot less than Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns obviously has something to do with that, but people are just starting to appreciate what he's doing, I think he really was missed during his injury. But anyway, AJ comes out, the segment begins, AJ comes out, and he is red hot as a heel. He's doing an amazing job as a heel. I hope they continue this run for AJ. He just brings the swagger about him and this attitude that sort of contrasts so perfectly with Cena's, Boy Scout attitude, his Superman persona, always having to do the right thing and the kid's favorite hero. AJ is the villain of this story, and it works perfectly. The highlight for me from this whole segment wasn't the contract signing, wasn't the back and forth, but it was the one line that Cena says to AJ. And I'm going to paraphrase it a bit. I don't know exactly what was, word for word, what was said. But it went along the lines of, Cena looks at AJ, and AJ's had enough. AJ's had enough of the indie guys being buried by the top dog in WWE. And Cena gets fed up. And, it's understandable. Even I was getting a bit fed up. We've been hearing this argument from AJ and the club for the past 2 weeks regarding Reigns and Cena, and there is a sort of truth to it. But Cena lashes out. He looks at AJ and he goes, enough. Pretty much enough. You whine and complain like a bitch, pretty much. Like every other indie dude who thinks they're entitled, thinking that it should have been them. That for me was the sort of highlight of what this whole match is about, Whether AJ is right in thinking the way he does, that, people who come from outside promotions such as New Japan, such as ROH, they don't really make it in this industry because of the top guys. The Reigns, the Rollins, the Cenas, they will be buried eventually because they're not, sort of manufactured by Vince in this sort of lab-like experiment in WWE, that the top guy always has to come on top. And we saw that at Extreme Rules. Basically, that question is for another debate, okay? You see in this promo where Cena is coming from, his motivations. Deep down, he's been the top guy for over a decade, and everyone has wanted his spot, not only in the WWE, but the professional wrestling industry as a whole. And this is the sort of element that he's had to deal with. This is the sort of pressure he's had to deal with. And it all just comes out in that one line. This is why I love it, being criticized by people who think that the indie guy should have had his spot. Being criticized left, right, and center for being the man, but it's not his fault. And this is where he's coming from. It's not my fault that I'm the guy. It's just I worked for this spot, and he truly did. But as I said before, whether AJ was right, that debate is for a whole other topic of conversation. Cena showed some great mic skills. He caps it off with this brilliant dig at taking AJ and the club back to New Japan, which just ends AJ, and it just shows, he's above everyone else on the mic right now, and that is pure experience. AJ and Cena isn't about that I'm particularly, looking forward to as much as Reigns and Rollins and the ladder match, but it's gonna be one of the best matches of the night. I have a feeling, this is the build. They've been doing well to build this up, and let's see what these guys can bring to the table. But a brilliant contract signing, and we'll see what happens on Sunday. The main focus, of course, was on this Money in the Bank ladder match between those 6 competitors. That's Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, Alberto Del Rio. And you can argue, with some conviction, that Cesaro and Zayn's match was the match of the night. It was a brilliant match. The ending was amazing. That finisher, the sunset flip powerbomb, move of the night. I don't know how many times they rehearsed that at the back, but it definitely wasn't improvised. It was a brilliant end to the match. And yeah, he wanted respect from Cesaro. I don't think he'll win at Money in the Bank. I still think it's on Dean, but it was a brilliant match. And that, to be honest, rounds up the positives for Monday Night Raw. The rest, I think, sort of falls into the bracket of the negatives. The whole crux of what I find negative about these Monday Night Raws, and it's the same thing happening every week. Matches are happening without any backstory. Stories are what make wrestling so popular, so important? This isn't boxing, this isn't UFC. There needs to be motivations as to why these people are fighting. Why is Sheamus wrestling Zack Ryder? Why is this match happening? That is honestly what's going through the fans' minds right now as they're watching this match. Why are Kevin Owens and Alberto Del Rio fighting the Lucha Dragons? Why is this happening? How can the fans legitimately believe? And this bullshit stipulation that the Authority come up with, that if KO and ADR lose, the Lucha Dragons will take their spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. How can the fans legitimately believe that they will be replaced by Lucha Dragons? It's a stupid, meaningless stipulation, and as I said, the match wasn't even that great. Absolutely pales in comparison to Zayn and Cesaro. And then again, it's a main event which has been done so many times on SmackDown. I don't know why they've given us this match right before a pay-per-view, the go-home show for Money in the Bank, Y2J versus Dean Ambrose. How many times have we seen this on the other B show? I appreciate what Y2J is doing. He's a brilliant heel. Apart from Reigns, he is the best heel in the company. He's got the experience to shine in that role. His crowd interaction is amazing. His promos are natural. He is a natural heel. He's doing a great job as a heel, but he shouldn't be where he is right now. I don't know what the company still, with all due respect to Chris Jericho, I don't know what the company still sees in him, what he can offer. I think this new era is way ahead of him. I don't think he should be main eventing Monday Night or the go-home show for Money in the Bank. Especially a match which we've seen over and over again. But I love Y2J, I love his work. But it has to be said, maybe it's not for the fans right now. That being said, the match wasn't that great. I say the highlight of the match was Owens on commentary. He's a natural comedian. He brings his own persona, his own natural character, and it's refreshing to see. He's a sort of breath of fresh air in the program. The fans love him. His time is coming. For Kevin Owens, he completely outshined Sami Zayn on commentary. People even forgot that he was there. I forgot that he was there. Jericho eventually gets the win. A ladder is brought into the ring, and Jericho wins the abbreviated race to the briefcase. Honestly, guys, don't count that happening on Sunday. As I said, he's not going to win. No one really believes he's going to win. So it was, again, a meaningless end to a Monday Night Raw. Another negative, Paige versus Charlotte. Again, why is this match happening? No one knows. This Divas Revolution, self-titled Revolution, is a weird one to fathom for the fans. We love it, but at the same time, it hasn't delivered when it's had to, okay? The match did look promising. The in-ring action was good. Of course, we don't know why this match was happening, but that's okay. At least the Divas get some airtime. It's also refreshing to see Paige back. Paige is a fan favorite, and it's good to see her back in action. But why? Just why do you have to have Natalya and Becky Lynch on commentary? They add absolutely nothing to the match. In fact, they even made it worse. Just so much bullshit going on, seriously. Natalya's sitting at ringside saying all kinds of shit like Charlotte can't go treating people like that. Oh, do you follow my cat on Instagram? And how her cat's gonna be watching WWE Network. The fuck are you talking about? And just no one gives a shit. You're just ruining the match. It's a fairly mediocre match, to be fair. The action was good, but it wasn't brilliant. But why do you have it? Just kills everything. It kills it for the audience. It's better to be sitting in the crowd than sitting at home listening to commentary. And a match like this, why did it have to happen? I don't know. Apart from the commentary, Charlotte got pinned. She is the champion, and that got absolutely no reaction from anybody. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit in line with what the Divas Revolution is all about. The Divas Revolution, you're supposed to be adding emphasis to these matches. People are supposed to care about what they're seeing. Each individual diva that comes out, they're supposed to be valued. Their matches are supposed to garner interest from the crowd. And when you've got the champion being pinned by another woman who isn't even in the match on Sunday, and it doesn't elicit any reaction from the crowd, it's something you're going to be asking questions. Where's this Divas Revolution going? Is it for real? what's happening, and please just get Natalia off commentary because that actually genuinely pissed me off. It's Charlotte and Dana Brooke versus Becky Lynch and Natalia, and absolutely no one gives a crap about this match. Charlotte and Brooke, I think, are going to take the win on Sunday, but we'll see. No one cares. My final negative for the show, apart from, some of the other bullshit segments with Shane, Stephanie, and Kane that we saw, was the opening. The opening for me wasn't necessarily the best way to get this tag team match on Sunday to garner any sort of excitement from the crowd. It's obviously one that we're looking forward to, but it didn't do the match any favors. Raw opens with the New Day talking smack, not even about their opponents, but about Kofi's shoes. It was pretty silly. I don't know what they were thinking with it. Enzo and Cass come out, a pair which have been very missed, although I would say Enzo really wasn't up to his best. Maybe out too much partying in New Orleans, but they interrupt the New Day, and Enzo and Cass go on about Francesca and Xavier's trumpet, and how Xavier's line that he's the only one, I'm the only one who blows my girl. I mean, that line did have me going, but the two teams exchanged back and forths until the Vaudevillians, who no one can stand, fucking Aiden English is singing. I don't know how creative can literally present this to Vince McMahon and how this can be okayed by the boss to air on live TV. I don't know why this gets no reaction from the crowd. No one really cares for them. If they win on Sunday, it'll just piss everybody off. But to be honest, it's likely going to happen. I think the Vaudevillians are going to take the win. But with regards to this segment being a negative for Raw, the club break in, and again, no reaction from the crowd except for the dig on the Saints, but no one really cares. I mean, all four teams are thrust into an 8-man tag match, which is not the first time that's happened, and it's ultimately a matchup which prioritizes comedic gimmicks instead of a good solid wrestling tag team rivalry with a solid backstory as to why these teams are fighting. Why have they been thrust into this tag team all of a sudden? It's just it's to entertain the crowd at the venue. It doesn't have any sort of importance behind it, but it should do. Okay. With regards to the club, I mean, if the club don't win on Sunday, if they don't become the new tag team champions, it's hard to see what their next direction will be. They've come in as this dominant force that has basically simmered away ever since being, buried. I say that in apostrophes, buried by Roman Reigns. But their reaction has completely faded away ever since they broke in. The club walk away with the win, nevertheless. But if they really want to achieve their purpose of dominating the WWE, they have to regain that attitude, that persona that they brought to fame in New Japan Pro Wrestling within the Bullet Club. They have to bring that back. They have to win the titles on Sunday. Otherwise, they're just going to fade away and no one really gives a shit about them. Either you rebuild the club from the ground up. First of all, change the name because they're just becoming a laughingstock, and that's what they really run the risk of becoming even more if they continue the way they do. Rebuild the group from the ground up, separate from AJ Styles, maybe have Finn Balor come in and take over. I don't know. Just be creative. There is no innovation with the club. There's no sense of direction. You can't really count on them winning on Sunday. I mean, I still think it's going to be on the Vaudevillains, but the New Day don't necessarily need the titles to maintain the sort of the reaction that they get every week from the crowd. But the club, I mean, I'm worried about them as a tag team. They come in as beasts from Japan, and they've simmered away. No one knows what the hell's going to happen to the club, but we'll just have to wait and see on Sunday what happens. It's going to be a good match. I don't see the New Day retaining the titles. I think their time has come to pass it on to a new group. The Vaudevillains, unfortunately, the creative have this sort of blind trust in them. I don't know why, but I have a feeling they're going to screw us over and hand it over to a heel stable. Enzo and Cass are hugely over, but for some reason, since Enzo's injury has sort of killed the momentum temporarily, they are going to bounce back, but not just yet. The Vaudevillains to hold on to the title for now until SummerSlam, and we'll see what happens with that. But for now, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. That rounds off the premiere episode of The Shoot Club. If you've enjoyed what you've seen it and you'd like to see more and you want to support the show, please subscribe to the channel for future videos. Let's get this show on the run. Your support is much appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep it real. Till next time on The Shoot Club.